Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's 3 p.m. It's Friday. Of course, it's the Don himself, Husam. How are you, my brother? You well?
I'm good. As you can hear my voice, I'm a little bit sick, so I'm on the strepsils. So yeah, I think it's just the crazy changes of the weather. But we're here. Thank God football's back. I'm so sick and tired of this international break crap. My country lost 6-0 to Norway, and we lost 2-1 to Azerbaijan as well. So even Jordan didn't play well.
Who scored the goals for Norway?
Yeah, 6 goals. It's crazy. It's crazy. I was one goal away from feeling how you felt last season at Hampton.
I hear you. It's not that the 7-0 never really affected me, to be honest with you. Like water for ducks back, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Lots to go into today, people. Obviously, the manager has spoke. The manager has come out and he has spoke about the Jadon Sancho situation. And he's been very candid and very direct. We're going to delve into that today. We're looking at Odegaard's new deal at Arsenal. We're going to be looking at Chelsea. We've got two big takes from Husam today, so stay with us. Chelsea, he thinks will lose again. And he also thinks there's big trouble this weekend for Manchester City as well. That's coming in the show. Plus, of course, we're touching on his Liverpool club as well. Hit like buttons. Please make sure you subscribe. But we kind of can't start anywhere else again other than with the circus that's Man United and the comments today from the manager about the situation with Sancho. First of all, what he has said is that strict lines is what the club asked me for because there was no good culture before last season. It is important to set good standards. It is what I did, and it is my job to control the standards. The team is above everything. When asked specifically about Sancho, he declined to answer directly on Sancho, but he did say it is never someone makes one mistake. It is a whole process before you come to certain outcomes about strict lines. There is a structure to cross a line, so you have to be strong. So essentially for me saying this isn't the first time Jadon Sancho has not met the standard in training or not been on time to training. That is why it's led to this situation. He hasn't been drawn out into the conversations about inconsistencies. Sancho, as we know, has dropped from the first team now. He's been suspended from first team training as well. We know what Sancho's stance is. He thinks the manager is mistreating him. He thinks the manager is got inconsistencies and doesn't call other players out for these same breaches within training. Looking at this now, almost 2 weeks on from when it was first discussed, with what both player and manager have had to say, what's your take on the situation, mate?
I think I was very defensive of Ten Hag whenever you've asked me about this whole situation. I think today, like, I just feel like he didn't need to expand. He didn't need to explain any of this. Once again, I think he's just applying extra pressure on himself. As you said in the intro yourself, you know, there's a little bit of a circus going on right now at Man United. And the last thing you need to do is add fuel to the fire. Last thing you need to know is add a couple of lions to the circus, add a couple of elephants to the circus. You don't need it. It's already a problem as is. I think right now he's in a position where he got 6 points out of 12 first 4 games. You're coming into a little bit of a tough run. You've got Brighton coming up. You've got Bayern Munich coming up, the Champions League as well. So I think right now was a time to just basically say, I will not answer any question regarding the situation or like whatever it is, you know, that sort of generic statement and just kind of keep it stepping. But I think he's probably just put a little bit more pressure on himself in my honest opinion. And I think now this has created even more like division kind of in the United fan base, because there are people who have it out for Ten Hag to begin with, even without the whole Sancho thing. There are people, let's all cut the BS here. There are people who don't like Ten Hag, there's people who Ten Hag out, there's people who don't want this manager. So because people don't want Ten Hag, they will use this whole Sancho stick to beat him up with, therefore creating pressure. And I think from Ten Hag's perspective, I just wish from his own perspective, he had a bit more self-awareness and realized the position that he's in. Because he's Manchester United manager, because of the results that have happened over the last 4 games, I think he should just basically evaded all questions or just let it be and went like, I'm not going to answer any questions about Sancho. I'll only answer questions about the Brighton game. You know, just basically said it in that sort of generic fashion. So for me, I just think he's applied extra pressure on himself. And from Sancho's perspective, look, we're not on the inside. We'll never know whether Sancho's a good trainer or a bad trainer or he's had multiple offenses. I will not claim to know whether he's done that or not. But I would also think, and this is where I will defend Ten Hag, I don't think this is a thing in which like Sancho had one bad training session and then this whole thing happened. Like I think he must have been a repeat offender in some way or some way somehow, unless like we're all basically claiming that Ten Hag would have some sort of agenda against Sancho. The logical thing from Sancho's perspective is he's been really upset the last 4 games, and you might understand why. Because he's played him false 9 all preseason long, and then the season starts, and he's like, okay, where's my opportunity? Where's my chance? Where's my time to play? Because he's played Martial there, he's played Rashford there, so he's like, okay, at least I deserve an opportunity. So from that perspective, I'd be more understanding from where Sancho's coming from.
Yeah.
But I think this is a one-time thing. They must have had multiple conversations. They must have spoke. Maybe he's not meeting the standards. I do not know. I will not claim to know. But I think there is extra pressure now, and this whole Brighton game could just be an explosion, because I bet you, and you're someone who does match reactions, make sure you guys tune into the match reaction post United. There will be people who will come on here and they will use the Sancho thing if Man United draw or lose, and I bet my kidney that's gonna happen. It'll be the first statement some of them make, like, oh my god, you could have used Sancho in today's game. Pellistri played like crap. It's just,
Bro, do you know what's interesting? I love your breakdown of that. I understand where you're coming from. I think the manager has put more pressure on himself, but I also understand why he has addressed it by simply stating there are standards, and people are misquoting his standards. They're saying, well, you lost 7-0 and didn't drop anybody for the next game. All the standards he's referring to, and this is where I think, this is when you know people are looking just to create problems. They're looking to hate on the manager for no reason. The manager hasn't mentioned standards in games, performances in games, goals in games. He has solely and specifically been speaking about training. So people keep using the things that have happened in games as counters to what he's been saying. But you're now comparing apples and oranges. You're comparing a different element. You know, there is what happens at training, there's what happens in games, and then there's what happens outside of football. And I think they're 3 different spheres, in that makes sense. They all feed into the same area, but they're different. And if you're going to say there's inconsistencies, you've got to compare training with training, games with games, and outside behavior with outside behavior. You can't compare the treatment of somebody that's been suspended like Greenwood versus someone that's had 5 bad games in the team. Go, well, why didn't you kick him out of the squad like Greenwood? Because the situation is very, very different. And I'm seeing a lot of people cross-referencing this. You're absolutely right, though. I think he has put more pressure upon himself without a shadow of a doubt. And it's actually made me really apprehensive, but also very excited about tomorrow's game. But you are right.
Depending on the outcome. Depending on the outcome, that's the major caveat.
I'm telling you now, the tweets are already saved. So I'll give you an example about Pellistri. It's going to go one of 2 ways. And I'm talking now about the people that don't like Ten Hag, whether it's because of the Sancho situation or prior. Pellistri does well. It will not be celebrated. It will be, see, the manager should have dropped Anthony ages ago and played him. This is what we would have got. So it will be spun in a negative way. Or if he does well, those same people that love Sancho might start to hate on Pellistri. That's one of those 2 outcomes is coming, or maybe you'll get a split. If he does badly, then you're spot on. It will be Sancho should have been here. And JJ called this out yesterday, and it's true. As much as I'm not happy with every element of the way the club has treated Sancho, I don't think we've had the right structure there for him since he arrived. I think we tried to improve it. I think some of the way the media has gone at Sancho has been wrong. Let's be very brutally honest here. Whether he starts or doesn't, he's been so poor overall for Man United. This notion that if we don't win tomorrow, Sancho would have been the game changer, I don't quite know the body of work that you've got to provide evidence of that. If you're going to say Rashford, well, you could provide all the goals that he scored, one of the highest amount of match-winning goals in Man United's history. You could provide some analysis that's truthful that would make a lot of sense. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Win, lose, or draw, I know exactly how they're going to spin the performance of certain players in the team, especially
and lose or draw, it's going to be worse. Lose or draw makes this reaction 100 times worse.
Have to win tomorrow. And I don't even think we can scrape it. We have to win. And I'm not talking possession. They might have more than us. We have to win, and we have to win well for this to die down a little bit. We absolutely have to. So it has to be, I wouldn't say a convincing win over Brighton, because that's hard to sometimes do, but it has to be a, by 2-goal margin. We have to win 2-0, 3-1, 4-2, whatever it may be. We have to win by a 2-goal margin, and there has to be a few good performances. We need Haaland. I'm talking from a Ten Hag point of view. Amrabat plays and does well. Højlund plays, scores, and performs well. Maybe not so much Palestri, I think we want him to. If Antony was playing, there'd be pressure on him because there's like Sancho's supporters really hating on Antony, like it's his fault that this has happened, which is really weird. Way to go. But yeah, United have to win. But I wanted to ask you about that because Big Steve yesterday predicted Brighton to win. Most of the panel last night said that Brighton are the favourites at Old Trafford. How do you see this going, Husam?
Like the thing is, I think Brighton are favourites is a step too far right now. This is Brighton, after all. That's the thing. So, as much as they've done well so far this season, I don't think we could look at Brighton as a favourite at Old Trafford or the Emirates or Anfield or the Etihad or any stadium right now. They need to build a little bit more before we start having these conversations. Look, I predicted on my predictions show a 2-1 win for Brighton. Would I be absolutely shocked if Man United win? No, because I think Brighton plays into Man United hands. I'll tell you why. Man United, they love it when a team plays possession football because that's literally what they want. They want you to play possession because they do have a sort of semi-lethal counter-attack with the likes of Rashford, Højlund now if he starts, and then you've got whoever is on the right wing. That could be a kind of counter-attacking style that hurts Brighton. For me, I think first 20 minutes, Brighton are going to have possession. Brighton are going to have the chances. Brighton are going to have the opportunities. I think what determines this game is the first 20 minutes. If Brighton take their opportunities, if they take their chances, then they have an opportunity to win. If they do not take their chances, then that's where the problems lie for me. And then Man United could end up winning the game because Man United do need a moment at Old Trafford. And to be fair, they do have a good record at Old Trafford. So for me, I think if I'm doing a prediction, based on like my heart and a little bit my head, I would say Brighton 2-1. But if I'm saying like, would I be shocked at all if Man United win? No, because Brighton playing to Man United's hands, and Brighton are the XG kings for a reason. They're the XG kings for a reason. They take 70 chances, 80 chances, 90 chances. They just miss. You go to Old Trafford, you can't be missing them chances. You need to be clinical. So that for me is what's going to be the difference in this game. The Brighton clinicalness. And I see people in the comments mentioning Ansu Fati. I spoke to Barcelona fans and they said Ansu Fati kind of lost a little bit of explosiveness right now because of the injuries that he's had. I doubt he'd start anyway. He'll probably bring him on. But Ansu Fati is someone who has a high footballing IQ. So that might help Brighton if they need a moment in the final third. But Brighton need to be clinical, 100%. And this is one of them games where I don't think like someone who expects Brighton to win would be shocked if United win or vice versa. This could go either way, dependent on who's clinical.
This here says, if you are not capping, what do the bookies say? Then that is the favourites. Well, I've just went and checked on Odds Checker that have the odds for all the UK bookmakers. Man United are generally 23-20, which basically means odds on favourites to win. The second best odds are on Brighton to win, which are around 2-1, which means you double your money, and then it's around 3-1 to 4-1 on it being a draw. So with the bookmakers, my friend, Man United are the favourites at home, which makes sense. And listen, I think you've said there about Brighton. I think he's right. But I also think Man United fans should be excited about two things. Rasmus Højlund starting a game. I thought he looked good when he came on against Arsenal. And I think being at home and against a team that's probably going to afford us a little bit of space is quite nice for an opening, a home and starting debut. And then there's Amrabat. And I really do feel like Amrabat has been so misprofiled. Mainly, and look, Man United fans are partly responsible for this. The amount of times now, I'm actually bored of it. The amount of times I've seen that track back and tackle on Mbappe, it's like, there's so much more to Amrabat's game than that. And I read a really interesting piece in the Telegraph about him. Fiorentina were the second highest team in Serie A last season in terms of ball retention and press resistance. The only team that had better ball possession was Napoli. No team had better what they call press resistance. So essentially winning the duels when it comes to presses in the middle. And a lot of that is down to the way Amrabat plays football. Yes, he's brilliant at winning the ball back. He's a good tackler. He's a combatant. He's physical. He's got decent speed. He does all of that very, very well. And at the World Cup, people notice that because essentially Morocco were playing counter-attack football. So you weren't noticing what he was doing in possession. Nobody was really watching Fiorentina play. But what he likes the ball. He's a good progressor. He moves the ball through the lines well. He can dribble with the ball as well at times. Again, I'm not stating that he's at Jude Bellingham's level at getting the ball and exploding away. But I think there's a lot more to Amrabat's game than football fans comprehend. They don't research. They don't read.
But I don't think he would start, though.
Listen, I wouldn't be... Listen, he might not. But I personally think that he should. And look, you can't always read into these things. But the fact he's been given the number 4 shirt, I think he's fairly significant to me personally. I would like if he starts and Højlund starts, I'm really confident we'll beat Brighton tomorrow. I think that the one thing I would say about...
Do you think Ten Hag is just going to put him into the deep end like this? You don't think he's going to give him 45 minutes?
Maybe he will. At the same time, though, you're at home. It's against a team that's going to give us opportunities and space. And this is a player who has been playing in Serie A for many years. Someone that's been to the highest level of the game and got deep into a World Cup. He's been under pressure before. Listen, I know he pulled out of the Morocco squad with an injury, but we all know what that was. He probably spoke to his country and said, can I please have 2 weeks of training in Manchester to get used to things? That's exactly what that was, in my view. I would start him. If them two start, him and Højlund, I'm very confident Man United could win. That's coupled with, just looking at some of the pictures today from our training ground, I do, and what I hope, this is a hope, this isn't what I know, this is what I hope, is that everything that's happened with Sancho, with everyone writing us off, I'm hoping it's a galvanizing moment for this team. And, I want us to go out and put a performance in tomorrow, one that we're proud of, one where we can walk away and say, look, it's 3 points, but it's a performance. The season kind of starts here for us again, and then we roll on, because it's a very busy next sort of 5 to 6 weeks until the next international break now with Champions League football. So I hope we can do it. I'm confident we can do it. And I'm very excited to see Højlund start, very excited to see Amrabat start, because the annoying thing about this summer transfer window is we've barely seen a new player barring our goalkeeper. And it's just, I'm watching you guys loving Szoboszlai and McAllister. You've got Maddison over at Spurs as an example. Everyone seems to have a new player. Declan Rice at Arsenal. Everyone's got someone new that they're all buzzing about and all excited about. And I like what Onana's done, but it's at the wrong end of the pitch to make you excited. Does that make sense? So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing.
You do know this week there is a beat down that's coming to Man United. You do know that.
Well, against Bayern Munich.
Yes.
Maybe.
You're losing that game.
Listen, right now, they're definitely the favourites. Will we get smashed to pieces and beaten down? I don't know. When you say smashed down and beaten, expand on that. How badly?
I think you would lose 3+ goals. 3+ goal difference. Yes. I think Bayern Munich will eat you alive. And I'll make another statement, because I love making statements on the football terrace. If Manchester United beat Bayern Munich away at the Allianz Arena, I will sing Glory, Glory, Man United publicly. I'm that confident.
On this stream next week. Okay.
I'm that confident.
I'll take that bet from you. We had a comment here from Maradon. He said, Terry, he's a good player, but stop gassing every time you do this. The opposite happens. Your predictions are horrible.
Bloody
really. I mean, not really. I literally predicted last year. The last big prediction I made on a player was Højlund would come in and smash Mo Salah's record by about 30 games. And he literally went and he did it. I told everybody, again, we're only 4 games in. Declan Rice is going to be a star signing. I know I predicted that Jadon Sancho would kill it at Manchester United, and I got that wrong, but I've got lots right as well. Like last year when I predicted that Arsenal would come in, even in the top 4, I was laughed at. When I said Spurs would miss out, I was laughed at. The only prediction I got I got 2 predictions team-wise horribly wrong last year. Like completely wrong. And that was Liverpool winning the league and Man United not making the top 4. All the others were pretty much accurate. So again, Maradon, I haven't said at any point that Amrabat is world class or he's the best midfielder in the world or we've just gone and bought our own version of Xavi. I've literally said he's being misprofiled and people assume that he's just this guy that breaks up play. But he's a good passer. He's good at progressing the ball. And if you read about Italian football and read what he did from credible sports journalists, he was integral in that team being the most press-resistant side and one of the best ball retainers in Serie A. And the reason why I think that is significant, and maybe I didn't expand on this, Maradon, is Man United get questioned, are they press-resistant? Can their midfield hold on to the ball? We signed someone who is renowned for that. And I shouldn't talk about it? But again, where did I turn around and say it? Where am I gassing him? What have I said? What's the prediction based on him joining? Barring, I think we can win tomorrow at home against Brighton. By the way, a team that's 31 games unbeaten at home. Again, how's that gassing someone? Expand on that for me. That's why we call you Maradon the Moron, because you say some weird stuff, bro. Ten Hag's what? Prerogative, sorry, to choose the team. Both believe they are right. Jadon Sancho behavior makes no sense. If Ten Hag told the whole truth, win or lose, Ten Hag needs trust. Yeah, look, everyone's got to listen. I've heard people say the fact that Sancho is not apologizing shows that he's telling the truth. That as a blanket statement doesn't make sense because Ten Hag's not backing down either. So by your own logic, what does that mean? If they're both not backing down, but in your eyes, Sancho not backing down means he's telling the truth, it doesn't make sense. You've got to have more to it than that. And interestingly, what I find interesting is that the inconsistencies that people around Sancho are calling out are not the same things that Ten Hag was called Sancho out for. So they say things like, well, the player's unhappy because of inconsistencies because Anthony gets more chances than him. But the manager has said, you're not in the team because of what you do in training, nothing to do with on-the-pitch performances. So again, I don't think you can counter... If me and Husam are having an argument, it's like this. Like, there's a lot of whataboutery out there. If Sam says to me, Anthony Martial should start this game, and I say, look, describe to me why Martial should start, and his only response is better than Rashford, that's not a reason why Martial should start per se. You're not explaining yourself. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from. Again, I'm not going in on Jadon Sancho too hard on this. I understand where the super chat is coming from. I just want my club to be run better. And, you know, Sancho doesn't want to be here and the club don't want him anymore. Again, let's move him on. I wish him all the best in the future. There's no agenda. There's no continual hate. I want the best for my football club, you know, and everything else. And I do implore people to not get abusive with him because, again, there's absolutely no need for that.
For context, ladies and gentlemen, Man United have put out more statements than away wins this last year. So it's mad. 5 statements versus 3 away wins.
Yeah.
I can't
Terry,
wait if you lose tomorrow. God be with you on that match reaction. I'll be honest with you. The stuff that you will hear will be
Terry,
mad.
you said if you get Amrabat and Kane, you would win the league. I said we could win the league. If we'd have signed Harry Kane this summer with Højlund, with Amrabat, with Onana and Mount, I genuinely believe those goals from Harry Kane would put us into a position where we could win the league. Yes, but that's nothing to do with what I just said about Amrabat because we didn't get Harry Kane. So that prediction of mine becomes obsolete.
Guys, Harry Kane is a game changer, man. Like, I swear sometimes, this is why the guy called you a moron. Had we signed, it's like me saying like, oh, you know what, Husam, you said if you signed Szoboszlai and I don't know, insert some unbelievable defender, you'd won the league. Yeah, because that defender is unbelievable. Like, you guys need to understand, Harry Kane is a game changer. He just scored 30 Prem goals at Man United, literally. Or he would have had, he would have given you 20 assists for your wingers. So, like, let's just stop being dumb for once. Maradon, you moron, because Harry Kane ain't here. He's in Bayern Munich. And you'll see Harry Kane's importance this Wednesday. So tune in.
I forgot. I actually forgot he played for him for a second there until you reminded me. But
see why I'm so confident? It's the story's written in the stars, Terry.
No, I hear you completely. Husam, did you go to Juma?
Yes, brother. I'm 2 hours ahead of the UK. It's 5:30 over here. I went Juma. I've had my food. I've done everything.
There we go. There we go. I used to run a branch in East London. And I used to love Fridays because Fridays in lots of other banks was a really busy day. Everyone coming in, but because I worked in part of East Ham, predominantly Islamic area. Fridays were blessed, bro, because it was basically like Sunday, and it used to be my favorite day of the week because it was just quiet. My banking halls are empty. It was a relaxed day. Saturdays are crazy. Yeah. Saturdays they were crazy because everyone then came in on the Saturday. So I would just be off on the Saturdays because I didn't want the rush. But yeah, I used to love Fridays. Do you know what I mean? Terry, stop the cap. Even if United signed Harry Kane, they would never challenge City for the title. I disagree. I disagree. God. I completely disagree. But there we go. At least Ollie, you got 2 goals against Klopp. Mandem 7 Hag held that and never scored. Listen, I would not swap Ten Hag's first season for any of Ollie's. We won a trophy. Like, again, this is the rivals. You're never going to get me on that. You're never going to. By the way, the most people I've seen on socials though that are calling out Ten Hag are not even Man United fans. When you actually click on their profiles, one of three things: you either see an emoji of Martial or Pogba or Ronaldo, right? They're either Arsenal fans or Liverpool fans. It's one of those three things. They're either a fanboy of a Man United player that's done or gone or left, or they're an Arsenal or they're a Liverpool fan. I would say the predominant amount that I'm in terms of the people that are replying to the tweets I've put out about this. It's so funny to see. It's just, again, like I said, biggest rivals out there. Everyone hates us but needs us. It's as simple as.
Oh, there are Man United fans who want them gone as well. There are.
There absolutely is. There absolutely is. And there's no doubt about that. I don't trust someone who's called United Tizzy. I don't know if that's a real person. I don't know if that's really a Man United fan. Like, the only time I take it seriously, like when Roy, the Chelsea fan, posted Poch out. I know him. He's got his real face, real name. He's a real person. I trust that opinion. When these people like United this, United that, sometimes I just think they are. I don't even know if they like Man United that much or if they supported a rival, because every fan base has got them and they all do the same things to their own club. They're horrible about them. So I don't believe do you know what I'm saying? The pattern's too obvious for me.
100%.
The pattern's too obvious. Listen, or they support three teams. And again, that's just sacrilegious, Vic. Like, if you support three football clubs, I'm sorry to say this, your dad has fouled or your mum has fouled. One football team. No, this is my Spanish team, my championship team, my Scottish team. One football club per person.
You know how you could destroy them with one question? If they face each other in the Champions League, who are you supporting? And that's who know who they really support.
Also, the other weird one still, I don't get it. Why people buy jerseys of other clubs? Like, why are you helping other clubs financially?
Same.
Especially if, you know what? If it's some club in South America, cool. When people buy PSG stuff, I'm like, why are you helping to fund the club who have the ability to take players away from you? It don't even make sense to me.
I've never worn anything but a Liverpool shirt and maybe a national team jersey, like a Brazil with Ronaldinho on it or something. I
wore a Leighton Orient shirt when I was a kid. It was a school play and I had to be a football player on stage, and I didn't have a Man United kit. My family was too poor, and there was a Leighton Orient one in the house. That was it, and I was about 5. But outside, 6 or 7, a bit older than that, sorry. But yeah, I couldn't wear another club's or nation's jersey. I just couldn't do it. Like, my son's half Irish and I couldn't put an island top on. It's no disrespect. Love the country, love the people, but I'm not putting the shirt on. It's not my nation. It's just, I'm just like that. Again, it's just for sport as well, by the way. But there we go. You think Man City are in big trouble this weekend, don't you?
The Hammers, man. I think West Ham are going to beat Manchester City this weekend.
Wow.
Yes. Listen, I know anytime someone says someone's going to beat Man City, people get upset and they start shouting and they get especially triggered City fans. I'm sure Ramsey is going to start crying in the chat in a second. You all know, MCFC protocol if he's here. Just like, the tears will start now in a second. So for me, I don't think Man City are as unstoppable, as impenetrable as people make out. I predicted a West Ham win and I stick by it. I think Haaland will not score tomorrow. And Man City don't have game winners, in my opinion, like they did last season. Now it's a little bit different for them. Their game winner is the DM Rodri. That's why Haaland doesn't deserve the Ballon d'Or, because Rodri's out here saving him in the big games. I think with West Ham, look, I've been very impressed with what West Ham are doing. Proper football, in the words of Sam Allardyce. Just you can have the possession, you can have the ball. I'm gonna take the 3 points, and I think this is what they'll do this week. I think with Mikel Antonio there, with the likes of Jared Bowen on the counter attack, you've got enough pace and power there to trouble Manchester City. And I think it's just about West Ham being clinical when they get those opportunities. And I just don't see Manchester City as unstoppable. Thank you, moron. As unstoppable as people make out, in my opinion. I genuinely see a West Ham win to tomorrow, and I stick by it. I don't think Manchester City are unstoppable, and I don't think Manchester City win the league this season either. And I've been consistent with it throughout the whole year. I've said I think Arsenal will win the league. If somehow Liverpool don't get injuries, then possibly maybe we could win it. But I don't live in utopia. I live in the real life. So I think with West Ham tomorrow, when you will all tune in 3 p.m. UK time, all the people who are cussing me right now, tomorrow, when it ends West Ham 2, Man City 1, all of you are going to remember. The guy with the beard and the hammer told you 24 hours ago that Manchester City are going to lose the game. So remember when the hammers come through for me. Because whenever I predict the hammers win, they do win. They do win. So up the hammers.
I would love your prediction to come true. I just can't see it. I just can't see it, bro. They're
dirty football, 15% possession, 2 chances, 2 goals. Come on. Like, so Terry, you're basically telling me Man City are going to win the next 36 games, like the next 34 games in a row, and they'll just have 0 defeats. Like, come on. It's just...
No, listen, West Ham
Sorry,
can win.
On the championship. Like, respectfully, we ain't going to talk about the championship club. This is straight facts. It's the football terrace, baby. We don't do championship clubs over here, so...
It's true. That's true. Go watch. I don't even know where. Is there even like a championship community? I don't even know.
Possibly.
Just all the wastes and strays that used to be in the Prem. I'm glad Leeds are out. That club. Part of me hates them more than Liverpool, but very small part of me. But I listen. I want to believe you. I want to believe that will happen. City are going to win, and I think they'll win.
Are you saying my scenario is impossible, or are you saying there is
no? No, I'm not.
Give me a percentage that West Ham get a draw or a win, not just win, a draw.
5%.
That's enough. That's enough.
5%.
In the words of the guy from Dumb and Number. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yes.
What was his name? It weren't Ed, was it? What was his name?
It was Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey was the actor. Lloyd was his name. Yeah. Lloyd. Yeah. Look, it could happen. I hope it happens. Yeah, and you're still convinced. You still convinced that it's going to be Arsenal that beats them to that league title?
Yes. I think there are 2 teams that could challenge Manchester City this season, and there is no third team. It's either Liverpool or it's either Arsenal. Now, I am not a biased person. I think, Arsenal Football Club have the better depth. We have the better starting 11. So I think if I'm saying starting 11, I think our one's a bit stronger. But as we found out even last season, it's depth that wins you the league. It's not even the starting 11. It's never been the starting 11. I mean, here, even the year that we won the league, you had the likes of Shaqiri playing a role, Origi playing a role, our backup centre-backs coming in whenever necessary. We had people come in and make a difference, rest players when need be. James Milner was very serviceable at the time. The likes of Ox and Keita were very, very serviceable at the time. So we had players come in and make a difference. So for me, I think depth is important. And like, if I sit up here and talk about the Arsenal depth, you've got Tomiyasu and Kivior on the bench. You've got David Raya. You've got in midfield the likes of Jorginho, the likes of what's his name? The guy that they signed. Oh, I cannot forget his name. It's Jorginho and Lenny, and there's a third guy. Anyway, third guy, I forgot his name.
Conga.
No. There's a third guy, an actual good guy. Forgot his name. But anyway, forward depth as well. They've got Trossard. They've got, what's his name? Nketiah coming. Rice, Partey. It's a Rice, Partey. It's Odegaard. Fabio Vieira.
Right. Yes.
Fabio Vieira. So that's the guy. So for me, I think they have much better depth than us, in my opinion, because for us, our bench is the problem. So I see Arsenal winning the league this season, and I don't think Manchester City are going to go back to back 4 times. Like, I don't think this is a thing. And people love to be boring, I'm going to be honest. And people just love to surrender the white flag, just do this directly. I don't like to surrender the white flag.
I agree.
Or the white tissue in this case. I just don't think Manchester City are going to win the league this season. I think Man City are going to win the Champions League. I'm telling you right now, whatever draw they get, they could get whoever. They could get World XI. They're beating them in the Champions League. 100% they're beating. I think they will win the Champions League 100%, but they won't win the Prem. They'll be Champions League winners, though.
Yeah, listen, I'm someone that I don't like this whole the league's over now, this stop watching, because I've seen content creators say it, and I feel like saying to them, you don't really believe that. If you do, then I bet you stop making content. You won't, though. It's kind of weird. There's got to be hope, and there is hope for people. I think Arsenal got a really good chance. I do. This City team, though, it's just got.
Why can't Arsenal win it? What's stopping them?
Oh, they can't. Listen, like I said, West Ham can beat City this weekend. And yes, Arsenal can win the Premier League. There is no doubt about that. favourites? No, I still think City are the favourites for this game and to win the title overall. Arsenal just need to.
And I'm not even saying, by the way, remember, I'm not saying City won't win anything. I'm saying they will come out
No.
as Champions League winners.
No,
so that's also an unbelievable
season. I agree. I think for Arsenal, what they need now to win it is their fans to relax. I think the fans are obviously you've got Arteta's detractors that don't like him, and they're a weird bunch. That they're almost desperate for him not to win it. That you can just see it seeps out of their pores. There's just a desperation for Arteta to not prove them wrong. They're so deep into their ideology about him. But I think the people that support him, there's like a real nervous tension. Oh my God, if we don't do it, what's that going to look like? I think you just got to relax and try to, and ironically, it goes against what a lot of the detractors say. Just enjoy each game each week. You know, I was over this international break. There's been a little bit of look. Man United have dominated the lines because of the Anthony situations and the Sancho things. There's been a lot of criticism of Chelsea as well. You know, people talking about no goal scorers, and we're going to get onto them later.
Deservedly.
Yeah.
Also,
Liverpool, it's been quiet because again, although you didn't have the greatest summer or season last
year, other
than
Henderson making that interview, which I will ruin his life.
We're going to get onto later, but generally, as a general rule, it's quiet on Liverpool because you've been successful in recent years. City is always quiet about, other than when the charges thing came out. But for Arsenal, it was one of the first international breaks. Summers don't count because of the transfer window. It's obviously noisy. It's one of the first international breaks I remember where there's barely been a story about Arsenal. A few renewal of contracts, a few comments here and there. That should make fans relax. The fact there is nothing really negative coming out of your club tells you things are in a good, solid, unchaotic, progressive position. Their fans need to relax, and if they do, the players will perform better.
And when you got me on with League Honor, what did I tell him? Analyze the first 4 games. Be realistic about it. Nottingham Forest didn't really have opportunities. Like Arsenal beat them 2-1, even though Forest scored at the end. And when Forest scored at the end, Arsenal held on. Crystal Palace, other than that one header, Ramsdale could have had Shisha because Arsenal were that in control of the game. When you look at the Fulham game, I'm not making excuses for Arsenal. They should have beaten Fulham at home, but the reality is 99.99999% of the time they win that game because they had an XG of 15,000. So they'd won that game in all other circumstances. And the Man United game, once again, haven't we always been saying the sign of champions is a team that doesn't play well and ends up with the 3 points? Or a sign of champions is a team that fights till the last second. We're underestimating that in a high caliber game against Manchester United, these guys scored a goal in the 93rd minute and the 97th minute, which tells you that they keep going till the end. So that is the sign of champions. And you know what works for Arsenal? The Champions League draw. That's what works for Arsenal's favor. The Champions League draw has given them a Europa League level group. That's the reality. Sevilla, PSV Eindhoven, and RC Lens. That is as Europa League as they come. Sevilla's Europa League royalty anyway. Eindhoven, 99% of the people don't even know where they're from. They don't even know which country they reside in. And Lens, the less said about them, the better. Those are the 3 clubs that they've got to contend with in the Champions League. So Arsenal Football Club, no exaggeration, could beat those 3 teams. Maybe not Sevilla away because we've got to give them respect. They could beat the other 2 teams home and away with their B team. That's the reality of the situation. So that also gives them that a little bit of an advantage. City do have an easy group. You are correct, Brett. That's a fantastic point. But I don't think, just purely from a motivational level, that Manchester City are going to be on it like they were last year. There's a reason why in the history of football there has been no club that's done a 4-peat. There's a reason.
Do you know what's funny is, in the biggest and best leagues, well, not Scotland, like Germany, but they got monopolies. I actually think I get this comment here from Esteban that he's got PTSD from last year.
Understandable.
I honestly think Arsenal would be in a better situation if they didn't spend the majority of the season on top. If last year Arsenal was second all year, but second and behind City by a point or 2, and they ended up finishing 5 points behind them, nobody would have called them failures. If they'd have won the same amount of games, played the same way, but City were just that little bit better earlier on and always slightly ahead of them, Nobody would have said it was a failure of a season, and you wouldn't have PTSD. So I actually think being slightly behind, the only time it becomes bad is if suddenly City are 10, 15 points in front of you. If you're a point or two behind them, I think you're in a really good position. Just stay on their shoulder and pounce later on when things happen. I actually think that should make you a little bit more relaxed. I really do. I actually think I could actually understand the nerves if you got 4 or 5 points ahead again, thinking, oh my God, could history repeat itself? But yeah, I think you got to stay relaxed. Sam, you spoke so much shit. We got 20 clips, is what IFL Discovery says. I don't know what he means there. What you got to specify on that. This here from one of my members, 6 months as a member. Thank you. Says United will challenge City for the title. It's our time. I hope and pray. Husam said City would never win the Champions League under Pep. Did you?
No, that's a lie. I never said that. Never said that. Brother, you beat Inter Milan in the final. Like, can you just have a little bit of self-awareness, AJ? Like, please. My God, these City teams are
Sam is
so
being
insecure,
sarcastic,
man.
is what Lee Gunner has said.
No. I'm not being sarcastic at all. I think Arsenal are going to win the league. No sarcasm. Why would I? You think I'd come up to the terrace in front of 4,000 people watching and be sarcastic? Why?
Lee Gunner will be sitting around his swimming pool right now in Spain, fuming that you think they're going to win the league. I don't know where you come from, but what you were smoking there, you talk so much BS, is what the German chicken wing says.
Hello, German chicken wing. I come from Jordan. Nice to meet you, German chicken wing. Aren't you supposed to be called German Bratwurst or something?
I don't know. This is a City have a better chance of winning the Premier League than the Champions League. No other team can compete. Arsenal don't have the mentality to beat City in the league.
Arsenal showed they had the mentality last season. And I think 99% of the time, 99% of the fans would agree that had Saliba not gotten injured last season, Arsenal would have been league champions. So it shows that they do have the mentality. I think Arsenal bottled it as part of it, but that negative experience will help them this season. 100%.
No, I get you on that. Let City win these titles. It'll be taken away soon. We can all hope.
Yes. As it should be. As it should be. Mailboxes don't print money, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all cut the crap here. So City, I can't wait. I hope this time the charges are stronger than ever and they relegate them and they take away all the league titles. You know, if they take away league titles, City won, it will be Liverpool and Man United that actually benefit the most. We'll get extra league titles. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get awarded them, but listen,
we should do.
We should. I think it would be at least 2, maybe 3 that go to both of us.
You know what's the maddest part? The difference between us will still be 1 title anyway, even when you give them the titles. That's the crazy part. So
we should get it.
Do your thing.
Sophia here says some people like to collect shirts. No, I know they do. I'm just saying I don't understand it. And Zeno says I couldn't resist buying the Ajax three little birds kit. Listen, and this is what I'm saying. Again, I understand it. Okay, so I don't understand it. I said 1 minute I said I don't. I do understand that people collect them, and I do understand the attraction because some of them look nice. I just can't bring myself to do it, is what I'm saying. So let me rephrase that. However, Ajax doing that with the kit and doing the 3 little birds, the Bob Marley collection, they obviously knew they were tapping into a whole culture of people that were going to go, wow, I want that. When PSG do the Air Jordan shirt, a whole group of people around the world, there'll be people that don't watch football that go, but that's Jordan, I want it. Like, that's the way these things work.
That's why they make those shirts to begin with.
Exactly. 100%, I do get it. I just can't. Let me reword it.
Some people, I realized, collected all these old shirts and they sell them. If you're collecting them for selling them, I think that's a little bit different as well. So it depends, because I saw some people they sell them and make some real money on them, like some old shirts, like the England 2004 Euros shirt and stuff. I saw some of them go for mad prices. So if it's like a collectible to sell thing, then I think that's different.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, again, if someone collects them to show them off, I get it, because I've done that in studios where we put shirts up. I totally get that, and flags, other clubs, and scarves. It's just wearing them out and about. Like, I just can't put. It's just, do you know what it is? I feel dirty. If I put another club's kit on, I would feel dirty. I'd feel it would be weird to me. I couldn't do it. I just could not physically do it. I would feel like I was cheating. I would feel like a cheater.
Unless it's a local club.
Even then, brother, I've gone to watch local teams. Like when I used to go to Ireland a lot. When my son, he goes and watches a team called Dundalk play. I've watched them play. I've cheered them on. Hey, when they score a goal, I wouldn't put their kit on. I wouldn't put their hat on. I just can't do that. It's kind of. I feel like it would burn my skin. It would. I don't even mean it horribly. It's no disrespect to any of those clubs. It's just. I always feel, and I don't know how other places work, but in the UK, you can change religion freely, change jobs, change wife. Kids can change their parents. You can emancipate your parents. You can change anything you want in England. To a point now, you can change your gender. You cannot change your football team. It's the one constant that is not allowed to change in my culture. It's the only thing that isn't allowed to change. Literally everything in my culture, Western culture especially, you can now change, barring your football team. It's the only thing, and I like that. I mean, once that goes, once teams can start transitioning away from their football clubs, that's it. Society's dead for me. It's over. There's no return from that. Somebody goes from being a City fan.
That's how City gained their fan base.
People have definitely done that. There's no doubt. When I see 30-odd-year-olds support teams that they'll be from London and they're 39 years old and they're a Man City fan. Like Dapter's got a real connection. But I'm like, oh, when did you start supporting them? They know nothing. It's like, bro, when did you switch? You switched about 10 years ago, G. Maybe on the Aguero moment, Maybe on the Aguero moment.
Are saying Daps switched clubs? No,
Daps legitimately, he's from sort of not quite the south, near the south of England, but he spoke about this publicly, so I don't think I'm ruining anything here. His stepfather was from Manchester and was a Man City fan, and he lived there and only came back down after he passed away, very sadly. So I get why he supports City. He's legit. But I feel like if there's a kid now, like not kids supporting them, I get it, they're successful. But if there's some guy that's nearly 40 that's like, yeah, I'm a City fan. What? No one in London when we grew up. They're my age. No one supported City. Do you know what I'm saying?
Even my generation, I don't think there was much. Listen, I saw them in my own eyes. They switched clubs. 3/4 of the people in the chat that support City, they were either Arsenal fans or Chelsea fans or United fans. Like, we all know, man. Let's all cut the crap here. Let's stop acting like they were fans their whole life. No, they weren't.
Godzilla says, Terry is a 90s glory seeker. No, I started supporting Manchester United in 1989. We weren't winning Premier Leagues. The Premier League didn't exist when I was a Man United fan. Didn't exist. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I've been a Man United fan since the 80s when we were awful. Where people were screaming for Fergie to be sacked. What about me giving you £5,000 if Arsenal wins the league, but you delete your YouTube channel if they don't, Husam?
No, I don't take that deal because my YouTube channel is worth more than 5,000. Whether you like it or not, my YouTube's worth more than 5,000. So yeah, you're gonna have to step your game up, brother.
I don't want to see the numbers. DM Husam. Husam can show you what his YouTube channel makes. And you can show you what his growth has been over the last few years, and then you can calculate the next 10 years of growth and how much he would earn, and then bet that amount. That way, you would pay him as much as he would lose over the next decade if either of you loses. That's a different bet, because then you know what I mean. It might end up being a lot of money you've got to put up, my bro. But yeah, that's not worth it because it's definitely like Sam's channel is gonna in the next 5 years, say is gonna make much more than £5,000. So yeah, easily. So yeah, it's not a good bet. You got to put. I reckon you've got to put at least £250,000 up minimum.
Yes, £250,000 then
£250,000 minimum to do that. Yeah. I wonder how much you would have to bet Goldbridge for his YouTube channel. I reckon it'd have to be like a £50 million bet because I think that thing over 10 years got to be worth 50 million quid. Got to be
easily,
and that's easily Goldbridge's business has to be worth over the next decade 50 million. Has to be. I watched one of his live shows the other day. And I didn't count because that would be really weird. But I'm watching the Superchats come in. I'm like, I swear I've seen about £2,000 come in half an hour. Like that man's so goated, it's unbelievable. When do you think City will get charged? They are charged. So City are already charged. They're waiting now for a hearing date. The Premier League has nothing else to do with it now. It's an independent panel that they just haven't got around to giving a date yet because they're so backlogged with other cases. So they've been charged. They just can't be punished because there's a hearing to hear the charge, like a court case, essentially. But it isn't like a criminal court. It's a civil matter. So, yes, they've already been charged. So, yes, that's already done. Chelsea. You think Chelsea are going to lose, don't you? You think they're going to lose away at Bournemouth. Why?
Yes. Chelsea are going to lose away at Bournemouth. Oh, Chelsea. Here we go again. From one plastic club to another plastic club with no real fans. Chelsea Football Club. I think with Chelsea, Bournemouth are their bogey team. This is something that even Chelsea fans will tell you. Bournemouth is a club they usually don't do well against. This is something that if a Chelsea fan is not triggered in the chat, he would tell you himself right now. Chelsea fans, I know BA is a real Chelsea fan. A couple of you guys here who support real Chelsea fans, in the chat, they tell you, listen, Bournemouth is a team that usually does well against them. So because Bournemouth is a team that usually does well against them, and Chelsea's problem has not been solved for the 100th millionth time. How many times did I come on this channel and I've been asked about Chelsea's business and I said, where are the goals coming from? Where are the goals coming from? Where are the goals coming from? And the answer was never given to me. And I look at this team and it's the exact same thing. Based on technical ability, technique, no goals. Pointless. It makes no sense. And they've come out publicly and said that Ben Chilwell is going to continue as the left winger. So if Ben Chilwell is going to continue as the left winger, then I'm sure even Chelsea fans are going to be extremely upset at said fact. And they'll be absolutely angry at the idea that Ben Chilwell is starting again as a left winger for them. So I look at this whole situation with Bournemouth, with Chelsea, and I see a Bournemouth win here. And it's funny because I thought I was in the minority. I had a predictions show, and all 5 predicted either a draw or a Bournemouth win. And it's come to the stage where everyone's sitting up here, whether it be media, whether it be people on socials, just babying the shit out of Chelsea Football Club. Why are we babying this club? Why am I supposed to sit up here and baby Chelsea and feel bad for them? And it's all going to be okay. I know you spent 1 billion, but you bought all your players from the kindergarten. That's not my fault. There is no way any of us right now look at the Chelsea 11 and think 1 billion. There is absolutely no way anyone thinks that. Look at their starting 11. Who's in goal? Sanchez. You got Disasi. Reece James, whenever he's fit, which is he's never fit. So let's put Gusto in there. You got Thiago Silva. You got Levi Colwill. You got Ben Chilwell. You've got in midfield Caicedo. You've got Enzo Fernandez. You got Lavia when he comes back. Palmer right now or Gallagher. You've got Jackson. You've got Sterling. And you've got either Mudryk or Chilwell left wing. That doesn't sound like $1 billion team. That doesn't... I thought Liverpool and Man United and certain other clubs had bad talent ID sometimes. Fam, this is not bad talent ID. This is gutter level. How do you spend this much money and you don't have a single recognized... They don't even have a single recognized star in the whole team. I look at that entire Chelsea team and I do not see a single player that I look at and go like, he's a star right now. Right now, I'm saying, not from 5 years from now. I'm saying right now. An entire £1 billion was spent, in my opinion, idiotically. And you look at this Chelsea team, and unless Jackson or Sterling scores goals, then their problems remain the same, putting the ball in the back of the net. And there's a little bit of uproar right now between the Chelsea fans. And by the way, the Chelsea fans will tell you right now, if they're not triggered, they'll be honest, they'll tell you. What I'm saying right now, it's because it's coming from me. I support Liverpool, they're angry. The reality is, it's if they put back the idea that it's Husam saying it, and they listen to what I'm saying, it's actually what the Chelsea fans have been saying themselves. Don't play Chilwell left wing. Have we spent 1 billion and we don't have a recognized star in the whole team? This is not the real Chelsea that we all grew up on. Pochettino maybe doesn't fit what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, and the decisions he's making on the pitch makes no sense. I've got Chelsea fans relying on Madueke for a result. Noni Madueke. I've never seen a more mid player my whole life than Noni Madueke. Just because you put on a bandana and the thing that covers your head and you have nice hair doesn't mean you can play football. Like you can't play football. We've seen San Maximan. There's a reason why he's in Al Ahly right now. Because whether you like it or not, I know all the ability merchants are gonna cry, but I don't give a fuck. Cry more. Football is about you putting the ball in the back of the net. You can shove your technique where the sun don't shine. If you don't put the ball in the back of the net, it will mean nothing. Chelsea fans are too busy telling us all you know, mocking the likes of Mo Salah, mocking the likes of Haaland, mocking the likes of others. If you put Mo Salah on the Chelsea team, they not only become significantly better, they have a player that can score 30 goals in that team, given the amount of chances they create. Similarly with Haaland, similarly with Rashford. Chelsea, I've said all summer long, and they didn't listen. Vlahovic makes sense. They needed a robot. All Chelsea needed was a robot who cannot play football but can score goals. That's all they needed. They didn't need no technical ability. They didn't need no nothing. They needed, give me a chance and I will score. Simple. That's literally all they needed. They needed the biggest bot in world football. Someone who cannot play the entire sport but can score goals. That's all they needed. And they don't have that. And they're trying to scapegoat the same people. Sterling. Sterling's been their best player. First four games, Sterling has been by far their best player, in my opinion. I saw him cook Robertson against us. I saw him play well against Luton. I saw him play well against West Ham. I saw him play well last game against Forest as well. He was the one creating the opportunities. It's not his fault Jackson can't score from half a yard, and he decided to sky it. Maybe he thought it's playing American football. So with Chelsea Football Club, I'm actually going to give Chelsea respect and treat them like a big club should be treated. I'm not going to sit up here and baby them. Why am I babying Chelsea for? Oh, yeah, they spent 1 billion, but it's all on kids. So I'm supposed to what? Sit back here and clap and go like, oh, they're all children. So what? So what? It's my fault you bought all kids? You spent 1 billion and your team looks like Southampton in development from 10 years ago under Poch. There's no difference. What's the difference? At least they had a recognized goal scorer and Ricky Lambert. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Chelsea. And Bournemouth will beat them. And Dominic Solanke will score. And mark my words.
You still haven't got over the Lavia and Caicedo deals, have you? It's still hurting you, isn't it? Still hurting you.
Injured, and the only thing Caicedo has is a shit song about him. You know Caicedo's song? Have you ever heard the Caicedo song?
No.
It goes like this: Chelsea, 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 Chelsea. That's how the Caicedo song goes. That's so for me, Caicedo is the prime example of why in life choose what you love.
The thing is, I would say, listen, I think there's a lot of what you've said that I understand. However,
name one thing I said that's wrong. I dare you.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that a lot of those things existed last year and they still beat Bournemouth home and away. Bournemouth are still sitting, they're 16th in the league. They've not won a game all season. They've scored, I think they've only scored like 4 goals. They've conceded 8. They're not beating Chelsea. Like, as much as I know you want it to happen, Chelsea are going to win this game, and I think they'll win it by 2 or 3 goals.
It's either Bournemouth win or draw.
Nah, they'll win this game.
100%.
They'll win
Who's
this game.
Scoring the goal, Terry? Who?
Jackson will score.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. He has the lowest XG in the entire league. Most big chances missed already, first 4 games.
Lowest XG? You mean the worst conversion rate?
Yeah. He has one goal scored.
I think they'll win. I think they'll win, Chelsea. But do you feel like if they lose another game to they got beat by Forest. But if they lose another game to a relegation predicted side, the team predicted to be in the relegation race, how soon do you think more Chelsea fans could turn on Poch?
Oh, Chelsea right now. I'm so glad you asked. You call Man United a circus. The Chelsea fans right now, there is civil war every day. There's people turning on Enzo. There's people turning on Caicedo. There's people turning on Poch. There's people turning on Thiago Silva. We had Thiago Silva explain on Instagram that they were playing a back 4. Oh, Chelsea's an absolute mess right now. They're in an absolute state. And see, BA right here in the chat. Get Poch out. They're already turned on the manager. You know what I love about myself? I spit facts. There's a reason why I'm on straight facts, because I'm a guy. I admit maybe when it comes to Man United, I'm a little bit less factual because there's emotions there. But with other clubs, I am so straightforward and objective. You cannot stop me. Last week, I came up here and I said every single one of those things. And look at it. Get proven into fruition. Everything I said is happening in front of our very own eyes. What did I tell Terry last week? They expect the most impatient fan base in the entire league to be patient. Can we just, I just want everyone to think of that statement. How are we expecting the least patient fan base we've ever met our whole life to be patient? See, this guy's turned on Poch right here in the chat. 4 games turned on Poch. I know match-going Chelsea fans who have turned on Poch. People are turning on Poch already. I'm supposed to think that Chelsea are going to be on something this season. If Chelsea finish 8th, it's a significant improvement. If Chelsea finish 8th, give Pochettino Manager of the Year.
I hear you. Sorry, that's some bad breaking news. Amrabat's not fully fit for tomorrow's game. Fucking raging. I'm gonna cry.
That's why you sat back. I thought you were enjoying what I'm saying.
No, I am enjoying what you're saying, but that just literally came out now. I'm gutted. I want to cry.
Tell us your thoughts, Terry. Tell us your thoughts.
No, listen, I get where you're coming from. This Chelsea fan base has got to learn to be patient because they are not. I understand the mindset they had for many years under Roman because it yielded success, but the project that Roman built was different. The project was we'll buy some young, but we're buying established players and the best managers, and we're going to put them together and go and win. And it was in an era where, yes, there was other good teams, but the most successful era under Roman came when they had a financial monopoly over everybody in England and most of Europe. If you actually break down I think they've won 5 Premier League titles. Three of them came in that first 5 to 6 years of him being there. 5, 6, 7 years. The other 2 came over the next 13. Deep that. They've not been in a title race for 6 years. That old model doesn't work anymore because you can't have in England that level of a monopoly. So what you have to build is something that is more sustainable, more long-term, based on style of play. And Chelsea are trying to build that from scratch and quick. So they're trying to build it quickly and from scratch. And someone tweeted this years ago. It made me laugh. He says, have you ever seen a McDonald's under construction? And it made me laugh. It's true. They're just not there and then they're fucking there, right? Chelsea are trying to do that. Ironically, it's an American owners, American business. It's like they're trying to create what Bayern Munich's and when Barca will run well, what they had, what what Dortmund's and what Ajax's have, this kind of what City have developed. They're trying to develop it really quickly. And you're never going to get there. If they turn on this manager, I get the criticism. If they turn on this manager, they're never going to get out of first gear. They have to be patient.
Yes, I agree. Now the question becomes, let's all come back to real life, Terry. They have to be patient. I agree with you. Let's shake hands. Will they be patient? Do you think you can teach a fan base patience to begin with?
No, I don't think they will be. Again, I agree with you. I think too many of them will lose it. What will happen is this. Some will lose their heads early, naturally. Others, there'll be some that are like, everyone sees an opportunity when their football team does badly to grow on social media. Because of what DT and Troops, and Goldbridge and all these guys did when Man United and Arsenal respectively went through turmoil, the growth they got, I think people go, I genuinely believe there's a percentage of fans that go, maybe this is my time to become famous. Maybe this is my time to grow a channel or my time to get big on Insta or TikTok to earn money. So you'll then get some that will perpetuate it because rivals want to see Poch out go round. So and so you get some that genuinely mean it.
We have someone who doesn't even own a channel who comes on the terrace and in Roy, for example, who is Poch out. You saw the tweet. I know you saw the tweet.
Yeah, he's the only guy. But like I'm saying, there's multiple reasons why people will turn. Some it's because they believe it. Some it's because they see a way of gaining out of it financially or for a career they suddenly want. I know of people that never been to games and not even that interested in football, but they like the idea of being a YouTuber. So they started going to games just so they could do fan cams. So they could become like, I know, and they've told me that's what they did. I'm not going to out them because I'm not going to damage a man's back pocket, but they support London club. That's all I'll say. But like for me, it's a case of there's all these different reasons why people do it, but it will damage the club. And there are times that you can criticize but be supportive. And I think Chelsea, do what you want. It's your club. If you stay where you are, that's only benefits Manchester United. So I don't, on a personal level, I couldn't care less. If I'm being fair and being objective and just speaking as a football person, the worst thing you can do is turn on Pochettino. And do you know why I say this? Man United keep doing bloody rebuilds, keep changing managers. And every time we do, the same pattern ensues. To a point where I tweeted something about the Glazers last night. When someone said that United the worst buyers in the Premier League. And I quoted it saying, yes, another reason why I want the Glazers out. And people are like, how dare you blame the Glazers for your managers buying bad players? And I'm like, they're like, they don't pick the players, they don't do the signings. This is all on the managers. It's like, no, it's to do with the team they pick. It's to do with the team that they bring in because you can say no to a manager. Klopp's a prime example where he was told no for certain players and got better people in. Secondly, When we overpay and undersell for everybody, that is directly on the Glazers. And then because we overpay and undersell, you buy a dud, and instead of being able to go, look, we bought that £50 million, like, look at Anthony. Anthony should have cost us £50 million, but the board ended up having to pay 85 million. The extra 85 million, the extra 35 million we paid for him, and the lack of ability to sell means you can't replace him this summer with somebody else. If we were Man City and Anthony dropped that season, Pep would have been able to go to his board and said, you know what, got to replace him. Or we need somebody else to come in, and they'd have gone and got it done. We can't. So part of that is, of course, on Ten Hag, but an element is on the Glazers. But let me go back to the Chelsea point. If you keep, as fans, repeating the same patterns that you've done for the last 5 or 6 years, I know you won a Champions League, but most Chelsea fans tell you that in that time, there's paper over cracks. If you follow the same process every time of blaming the manager and saying what United fans do, a better manager with this squad would have us doing X, Y, and Z. There's only so many times you can keep saying that until you realize, hang on a minute, there's something deeply wrong with the football club. Turning on the manager hasn't worked 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times on the bounce. Therefore, that isn't the right course of action. Doesn't mean you can't criticize. Doesn't mean you shouldn't challenge. But if you're doing the same thing over and over again and you're expecting different results, you're crazy. That literally is the definition of insanity. And Man United fans have gone through this, and we're falling into the same pattern now. But where you've got to look out for is false prophets. So again, the people that genuinely don't believe in Poch, fair enough. But the ones that are doing it for attention, clicks, likes, money, worry about them. And some do that. And also rival fans. Don't trust rival fans per se in these moments, because they want your club to go through turmoil. They want you turning on your manager. They want you angry at your football club. They do. So they'll be like, yeah, it's on Poch. It is on. They will gaslight you into going, yeah, if we get rid of Poch and we bring in, I don't know, De Zerbi, we're winning the league next year. Rival fans will convince you of that as well. Be mindful of it. Doesn't mean you can't criticize. Doesn't mean there isn't room for improvements. But get behind what your club are trying to do for a sustainable period of time, because it's going to take a good few years to get back to the top. Simple and straightforward as that.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have found out that Terry agrees with everything Husam says. So today we have proven that I am not jealous. It's not the bitterness thing. Everything I'm saying is factual. I don't expect the most impatient fan base in the league to be patient. I apologize, because they've already disproved that logic. It's already been disproved. They're already turning on the guy. So our logic can't be they have to not turn on the guy when there's already people turning on the guy to begin with. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, the problem with Chelsea FC, the cesspit, the sewage that is Chelsea Football Club.
I hear you, and I know some people will say this, Terry, but what if a manager's doing badly? You're saying that we should never call for him to be sacked. You've got to just look at it contextually, and you look at each situation in isolation. So a manager that's been at a club 6 or 7 years, like if Klopp, for instance, has another season like he did last year, starts getting it wrong and they fall off, there's a genuine reason to go, right, do you think the club, maybe he's just been there too long now and you need something new? That's different from every 18 months sacking a new manager who's not even completed a rebuild and never allowing anything to flourish, but always using the same excuses and logic that another manager will make the club perform better, even though the same mistakes are being made internally. You can't compare those two scenarios. The scenarios are not the same. And I think it was Tony Stark that said this in the first Avengers. I need all the variables before I can work out the equation. And that's a simple thing that goes on here. If the variables are different, the equation and the answer are not going to marry up and be the same. And that's the problem with football fans nowadays. And me and Lee get into a lot of these debates. It's, I know you think that about Arsenal, but you can't apply that same logic to every club, in every city around the country, because their situations are all different. Things have to operate differently to try and get to the same outcome, But for some reason, we live in this weird world now where everyone thinks they're a magic glove and it's one size fits all. For me personally, and I don't think that's right. So is the team shit, or do we need one goal scorer because we create so much? Your logic is ridiculous.
It's a bit of both. The team is shit and you need a goal scorer, because there is no way there is no human being on God's green earth that's going to look at this current Chelsea side and think 1 billion. There is no one that's... Look at Real Madrid starting 11. How much they cost? Real Madrid starting 11, you could recognize, okay, there's a couple of £100 million players in here. Vinicius, Bellingham, Camavinga, Chouameni. You get it. You understand it. You understand where they're going with this. Same even with Barcelona. I know they have a little bit more turmoil, but you see what happens at Barcelona, for example. The likes of Pedri, you understand what's happening. With Chelsea, They literally have 0 stars in that whole team. They're playing Enzo 10 one week, DM the next week. You're telling me that's a club that has no idea what they're doing? Yes. And do you have a goal scoring problems? Absolutely. Absolutely, you have a goal scoring problem.
I hear you on that. Viewers, make sure you're smashing like buttons for us, please. Let's get this to 1,000 likes whilst we are live. Chike says, Terry, Don, how long do you give managers before you sack them? Because I'm a firm believer in 3-strike rule. But that's just me. Also, who says you can't follow the sacking model?
That's a great question, Chike. You know who says you can't follow the sacking model? The age of your players. That's who says you can't follow the sacking model. Because by definition, you have no current stars. Every single one of them needs development. And this team is built because of their age. This is not me, this reality. Because of their age, they're built to win 3 years from now, 4 years from now, not now. So because they're built to win 3-4 years from now, you can't be expecting shit this season. And that's been the whole point. And if you're talking about 3 strikes, so you're saying essentially, you lost to West Ham, you lost to Forest. Are you saying if you lose next game against Bournemouth, that's 3 strikes? Because if that's how you're looking at it, then it's going to be a long day for you. So when you sign the likes of Cole Palmer, you'll sign the likes of Caicedo, the likes of Enzo, and like Disasi and blah, blah, blah. Does that sound like a team that's trying to win now? Or does that sound like a team that's trying to win 3 years from now? I think the manager they chose and the players you choose answers your question.
Chike is actually a City fan, to be fair, but it's a great point. You have to look at the contextual situation. And that's why you can't have one size fits all. Example being, Husam will back me on this. He was in the spaces and on shows. The reason I wasn't an advocate of sacking Ollie was not because I thought he was brilliant. I said I don't think he's an elite level manager, and I didn't believe he would ever win us a major trophy. My rationale for not wanting him to be sacked was just I didn't trust that the club would continue with the project he'd started in terms of we're not going to have to do a squad overhaul. We're going to bring in a manager that can make this group world class. And we didn't. We went away and we're trying to rip it all apart again and rebuild. And the reason I don't want that is nothing to do with the manager. It's because I don't trust my owners to ever complete a rebuild. And I don't trust them to do it for Ten Hag either, to its nth degree. With Chelsea, I'm not going to repeat what Husam said. He's right. You can't, how the sacking model doesn't work with a squad like Chelsea's because it isn't a developed squad. It isn't a squad full of world-class stars with a world-class core that's used to winning. It's a team that needs someone and the same person and the same coaches for a couple of years, developing and nurturing them to that next level. So you can't, the sacking model, for instance, works at a club run as brilliantly as well and with a financial monopoly in its country as Bayern Munich. It would work right now at Liverpool. Sorry, at Liverpool. It would also work, not so much at Liverpool right now, I mean City. It would actually work right now at Arsenal because I think they've built something. The question marks over Arsenal, are they going to continue with this style of play and profile of player with a new manager? If they don't and they're going to do another rebuild, then sacking managers starts to become irrelevant. So it depends on the club, the age of the squad, and what they're trying to achieve. In terms of the 3-strike rule, I've heard a lot of this. People go 3 strikes, 5-strike rule. Well, I need to understand what you get a strike for, Chike.
Yes.
Because I feel like this 3-strike rule, it's okay, so if you're 3 strikes, whatever your rationale is, but what if in amongst those 3 strikes being made, your club wins Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues? Does that take strikes off? Do you keep I don't understand the 3-strike rule. It's too vague. But people, what I've noticed on social media, and I'm not saying you, Chike, but I've seen people in general, is they love ambiguity. They love things to be open to multiple interpretations. That way they can never be held the irony is the same people that say we've got to hold people to account, they never want to give a straight answer so they can be held to account. They want it to be open-ended. So they say 3-strike rule. Break down what a strike is. They won't really want to tell you because that way you can hold them to it. If they just say, I'm counting this one this weekend as a strike and this one's actually a strike, well, you can just, that's willy-nilly. That shouldn't be how it is. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. But yeah, you've got to be balanced in my view. In my opinion. German's back. He says, nah, if you were very, very sure about Arsenal winning the league, you would just take the bet.
No, but that's a dumb point. That's like saying, oh, Terry, I'm going to make a bet with you for like £300. Like what? That's not what the channel's worth, my brother. That's not how life works. I wouldn't sell you my house for $2,000 just because I'm sure of something. Come on, man. Man said 5,000. Are you mad?
This guy just made a speech copying what R9 says. Listen to him. I don't know. I never speak English, to be fair, but I mean that in a nice way. Again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Chica says, what I mean is that you give a manager 3 years, and if they don't win a title within 3 years, you sack him. Sorry for the. There's not confusion. Again, so so each season's a strike. Yeah, I think that's fair.
But it depends what they do in the season. So if Poch, we're talking about Chelsea, if Poch finishes third, for example, and wins the FA Cup, you can't count it as a strike just because they didn't win the league. Yeah. This, in context, is a fantastic season for Chelsea.
And maybe Chique means title, just means any trophy that year. I think you also have to factor in what they inherited, what they took over. Also, who else is in the league? So a lot of people look at Ten Hag and go, he's had £380 million to spend. He should be winning the league. But 3 teams in the league have spent more than him in that time. 2 others have spent about the same amount as him. And they were all ahead of him when he took over. So you have to... If I was sponsored as an Olympic runner and they're saying you've got to improve your time this year by 2 seconds, not 100-meter sprint. They say I'm doing 1,500, 800 meters, and they say you've got to improve by at least 2 seconds because I came 8th at the World Championships. They say I improved by 3 seconds, but I still come 8th because all the other people have improved as well. That doesn't mean I haven't got better. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you have to contextualize the situation that you're in. If people that are better than you also get better, you have to review the situation. Now, you still might get sacked because maybe one of those better managers from one of those teams is now available and you can bring him in. That's fair. But you have to look at the landscape that's out there. I don't think it's as simple as just, well, if you don't win in 3 years, sack him. You know, what if you do 3 very narrow title races where you're getting high 90 points and you're just missing out? I get the argument that a new manager might get you over the line. But you could also argue a new manager comes in and upsets the apple cart and you go backwards slightly. You have to... I just don't think there's one size fits all, Chique. Although you should be aiming to win these trophies. I just think it's too hard to put a blanket statement across it, in my personal opinion. Terry, United have the richest team in the world now, but we don't, do we? We've spent the most amount of money, but in my opinion, if you're telling me our squad's more valuable than everybody else's, you're lying to yourself. This is where rivals, again, you talk out of both sides of your mouths. You'll say your club buys crap players, you built a rubbish squad, you overspend, but then equally say you spent the most amount of money, so this squad should win. Those two are competing ideas that contradict one another. And ironically, you also then say to us, why would you want the Glazers out when they spent that amount of money? At the same time, you say that we waste money and the owners have built a crap squad. You see, speaking out of both sides of your mouth, it makes no sense. We have spent more money than anybody else in the last decade. We know that. That's why we want our owners gone, because between them and their ball, they have mismanaged our money. Simple and straightforward as that. So, yeah, we don't have the most valuable squad. You know, what you spent and the value of that squad are completely different factors, in my opinion. But there we go. If you spend wisely, yes. And then we moan about our owners not spending wisely and not having the right board and recruiters in place to complement the management to make the right purchases at the right price. And then you say we're spoiled brats. It doesn't make sense. But that's like I said earlier. Be wary of what rivals say about your club. All they ever want to do is make it look bad. Now, and I definitely criticize all your clubs at times. But you all know how unbiased I am when your club's doing good things. And I don't just say it's bad because you're a rival. When you do good, I say it's good. When it's bad, I say it's bad. When it comes to Man United, you will literally criticize us on the same subject for both ends of the spectrum. So there is no right or wrong answer. It's crazy. How do you hate your owners with how much money they spend? And then the next day you say, look how much money they've wasted on that shit squad. It's just so terrible. Here we go again, Mr. Hindsight. But we're talking about what we have spent. So again, twisted. If people say, Terry, look how much you spent in the last 5 years, that's hindsight. It's all in the past. How am I not meant to use hindsight when talking about history? Tell me how you speak about history without using hindsight, you moron. Terry, after Nottingham Forest games, boos in the stadium after 90 minutes, Chelsea's owners attend these games, they can hear it, they will pull the plug.
Agreed. Agreed? Oh, no. Oh, I agree with that as well. You think they hear all these boos around Stamford Bridge, you can't tell me they will have no reaction.
Someone here says, Terry, you're confusing most richest with most valuable. No, I'm not. I'm doing the opposite. I'm literally not confusing the two. People are conflating them as very, very different things. Terry, you hate City. But again, they're my rival. But I call you the best team in the world. I praise how well you're run. I'd never call your manager a checkbook manager. I'd never turn around and call you a plastic club. I'd never turn. There's so much about City.
You are a plastic club, and Pep's a checkbook manager. How about
and I know you say that, but this is the point. You say I hate them, and I do. I hate Liverpool, but I praise good things they do. There was a 2-year period where I consistently referred to Liverpool as the best team in the world. It's because I'm unbiased, even though I don't like you because I'm a Man United fan. You know, it's as simple as that. I don't understand what the confusion is with these things. Terry, excuses. What excuse am I giving? Like, I don't understand what. So what have we built a brilliant squad with that money? Like, what explains to me what excuse I'm giving and what it's for. What have I said that's an excuse? Terry, the numbers are there, bro. United have the most expensive squad. What? I have not disagreed.
I think they're talking about the Sky Sports article.
Yeah, we've spent the most amount of money, I think, in the last 5-6 years on our squad, but it's not the most valuable. And equally, we've wasted a lot of that money on a squad that isn't good enough. But whenever I criticize the owners' spending, they say you can't blame the owners. They invest money. And Sean, in the other side of rival fans' mouths, they'll laugh at how bad the squad is and how pathetically built it is. But then tell me I should be happy with spending that money on a squad that they say isn't good enough. Tell me how that makes any logical sense. So again, when everyone's saying excuses, what excuses am I giving? For what? What's the excuses? I'm admitting we've bought badly. Why is that an excuse, Sam?
I think, look, from Man United's perspective, there needs to be improvement. There needs to be stuff like that. But right now, look, the problem is Man United. Just like I've kept the same energy for my own club, because I think we have had with similarities this summer. The blame cannot lie at one person's feet. There needs to be blame Ten Hag's door, Glazer's door, recruitment door, everyone. Everyone needs to hold accountability. Same thing I've said about my club. Klopp holds accountability, FSG, everyone. But just like, because I understand where Terry's coming from, if you tell me right now we've got to get rid of one of them, I'm getting rid of FSG. I'm not getting rid of Klopp. Like, that's the thing. So if we get proper recruitment in place, for example, us buying Endo wouldn't have been a thing. So I'll use my club as an example. If we get proper recruitment in place, we sign a centre back, we sign a DM, we find people out there in Europe on the market that can help Liverpool Football Club. So for me, I understand where Terry is coming from, but at the same time, I understand where others are coming from, because some of these players Ten Hag did want. So now they have to come to fruition, which even you've agreed with, like the likes of Mason Mount. So Mount now has to perform, or Ten Hag has to answer.
And Maradon here says, Terry, you back the manager. Yeah, and I'll criticize him if his signings don't work. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't be allowed to buy more. It's not just you get one. So again, unless we imply this logic to all managers, one dud, you're out. Or one dud and the manager gets a transfer ban. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Equally, only 1/3 of that money spent that Sky Sports showed has been purchased by Ten Hag. So again, I'm not going to judge Ten Hag on the overall quality of a squad that he has only built 1/3 of in terms of the total spend. We have to get to a time where they put that graphic up and between 90 to 100% of that money has been spent by the manager. Then I can hold him fully to account for how that squad performs. Fully. Like we do with Pep.
The team that spent the most money right now is Chelsea, short term.
Yes. Oh, I agree. I totally agree with that. Terry, you want fans to be patient, but we're watching Chilwell at left wing, Chilwell left back, Galadog still in the squad. Poch is a disgrace. Should have got Nagelsmann.
Terry, I just want to ask you something before you answer. Do you understand where I've been coming from last 2 weeks now? Do you understand that I'm not making this shit up? You see, right here.
I get you. There's loads and I'm not going to have patience.
It's impossible to get them to be patient. How would you expect them to be patient? This is the 20 years of their life. They've not been patient. And now they're supposed to be patient. This is the thing. No, so look at him. He's asking the same stuff. So Chilwell left wing. Gallagher still in the team. Blah, blah, blah. It's just so expected of a Chelsea fan to ask this question.
Terry has never called out Ten Hag. Absolutely ridiculous. Again, rivals never show up. The one thing, unless we lose, and then you'd have seen it, rivals don't show up to Man United match reactions. Even when we win, I criticize things Ten Hag does. So again, you're absolutely lying there, Solution. Watch more of my content. Terry is the most honest pundit on YouTube, calls it as it is. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. The Dugout Football says, is Husam worried about the early kickoff tomorrow? Our record last season at 12:30 kickoffs last season was 0 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats. On to Liverpool. Go on, talk to me.
First of all, before we get to the Wolves game, I'm going to answer Doug's question. Big up, Doug, for the Superchat. First of all, let me start with Henderson, because I've got to address this. Clip this up. So I just want this to be clipped up and posted on Twitter. Klopp is a FIFA bedwetting virgin who's never been to Anfield, and he doesn't understand what Henderson brings to this team. Because that is what I got told for a period of 2 years. We, people like myself, who said it's time to go for Henderson, get called every name under the sun, get called every word under the sun, and get called fake Liverpool fans, plastic fans. Oh, you weren't there during the tough times because we said sell Henderson. Guess what? It's all come around full circle. And guess who agrees with me yet again? Jurgen Klopp. Just like last summer, we didn't need any midfielder, and a year later we bought 4. It shows you as proof. Jordan Henderson has the ego of R9 and the ability of Henderson, because I don't need to insult anyone else's ability. His ability alone is an insult. He has the ego of R9, the Brazilian Ronaldo, El Fenomeno, and he thinks he's that guy. Who are you to call out Jurgen Klopp, Jordan? He gave you a career. Had we bought Clint Dempsey, maybe it would have been better for us in the long run than keeping you. You're calling out Jurgen Klopp? Jurgen Klopp gave you a career. Jurgen Klopp took you from getting traded for an American Fulham player to becoming the captain of Liverpool when they were successful. And you're out here saying that, oh, no one at the club wanted me. I'm sorry you have zero self-awareness. I'm sorry you have the ego of R9. You think you're that guy. I'm so glad he's gone. I've never been happier to see the back end of people. And you have people calling me out on Twitter going like, oh, you know who the knobheads are? They're celebrating the fact that the captain is leaving the football club. Yes, I was celebrating. Yes, I was. And I get proven right every single time. You see it with your own eyes. Henderson calling out Klopp. And what did Klopp come out and say today? I couldn't tell him he was going to be the main man. I couldn't tell him. You know why? Because he watched Szoboszlai for one training session and he's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Directly. I cannot deal with this Henderson guy anymore. I cannot deal with him anymore. I'm so glad we sold Henderson. And for Henderson to have the cheek to call out Jurgen Norbert Klopp, the guy that gave you a career. You're known because of this manager. Who are you? Who are you to call him out? The audacity, the disrespect to the greatest manager we've had in our lifetime. As Henderson, how dare you? Where is your self-awareness? When Dewsbury Hall was running through you, Leicester at home, like you were a bitch, like you didn't even exist on the pitch. Liverpool captain, who finished 5th. Absolutely dreadful performances week in, week out. By far the worst player in the whole team. And you're kind of calling out Klopp for selling you. You wanted to be the main man. You think Klopp is on a suicide mission? Where is your self-awareness? There's a reason why you play in Saudi Arabia now. So embrace it, shut the fuck up, and leave Liverpool Football Club alone. Now, speaking of tomorrow's game, Wolverhampton Wanderers. When it comes to Wolverhampton Wanderers, I am worried. The reason why I'm worried is not because it's Wolves. The reason why I'm worried is because it's a 12:30 fucking kickoff after the international break. And I hate 12:30 kickoffs after the international break. And we've had 12 games, 12:30 after the international break. McAllister was in Bolivia 30 hours ago. I don't know where Luis Diaz was. Somewhere maybe in Peru or somewhere, I don't know where in Brazil. This is the problem. 12:30 kickoffs after international break, they scare me. They worry me. Now, do I expect Wolves to win? No. Because Wolves, they don't know how to put the ball in the back of the net. That's their biggest problem right now. And they lost their best midfielder in João Moutinho. So I think that's going to be a little bit difficult for them. So for me, I look at Wolverhampton Wanderers, 12:30 kickoff time, noon. and I say Liverpool win, but we scrape it. And I think for Liverpool fans, I'm just saying something to all the Liverpool fans. Listen, you can call me negative all you want. You can call me the Liverpool League Gunner, the Liverpool troops, the Liverpool blah, blah, blah. I've heard all of it before. I'm the Liverpool Husam. Get used to it. Because I call out shit 6 months before it happened. The channels that banned me, the spaces that banned me, the people that blocked me last summer were saying the same exact shit that I said 6 months later. To be bar for bar, letter for letter, and Terry knows this and he saw it with his own eyes. What people were saying in January was what Don Husam from Jordan, who knows fuck all, was saying 6 months before that when I kept talking about midfielder. And lo and behold, a whole year later, we signed 3 midfielders. I'm telling all Liverpool fans right now, embrace yourselves. The tough times are coming. Now, I don't think Wolves is going to be the start of the tough times. I still think we'll win. We'll scrape past them. But I think the tough times are coming because you guys need to understand. I just don't want everyone to have high expectations. I don't want everyone to have high, like just live in utopia and think we're going to get no prediction. We're not going to get no injuries. As soon as the injuries start hitting this team, that is where it goes downhill. So the tough times will come. I hope not a single Liverpool player gets injured, but I realize that the football is real life. Players will get injured. So when players get injured, once again, everything I say will happen to come true again. We will challenge and be the first team to fall off. And then once again, next summer I'll warn about these things, and then you'll call me negative again, and then you say blah, blah, blah. It's just the same cycle over and over again. So Liverpool love these 75% windows where we deal with 75% of what we need and then leave the 25%. And then when the 25% comes back to bite us in the ass, we all act shocked that the 25% bit us in the ass when people have been warning you about this 25% for a 4-month period during the summer. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Liverpool. Henderson needs to shut the fuck up, and tomorrow is going to be worrying. That's my thought.
I hear you. Baradon here says you're the Liverpool plastic because you're criticizing Henderson.
Henderson came for my manager. All he had to do was get his money at Saudi Arabia and just shut the hell up because my manager gave him a career.
Husam, Klopp kept him in the first place.
I mean, that's literally been proven wrong via Klopp's press conference because he said Henderson wanted to be the main man and I couldn't tell him that. Fact. And now Henderson felt the need to criticize him, so hold that. Henderson just proved he's not a man of principle. He went against every single one of his principles. And he can hold that. So glad he's gone. So glad.
He's not your manager, is what Twisted Bubba said. That's a weird comment. I don't even understand that.
My manager. Who does he manage? Liverpool Football Club.
I don't know.
Club.
Bash here. Long time no see. Bash says Liverpool still need at least 2 centre-backs and a DM. Will struggle in February and March. Big up Terry and Don. Terry wants to mention my country, Libya, which had a flooding disaster, which took a lot of lives. Very sorry to hear that, bro. I didn't see that on the news. I don't actually watch the news. Very sorry to hear that about your country and obviously the people that have lost their lives. So I hope that situation gets resolved as quickly as possible for you and your people, brother. Thank you very much for that super chat.
And the first part of the super chat is the thing that I was saying all summer long, the 2DM and the centre back thing. Hey,
yeah, and you definitely need that. I have seen a lot of that for you where people have come for you when you've said you need things and they've really attacked you, and then those exact holes have been problems. But as I said before, communist Merseyside are a dangerous bunch. They're a dangerous
Some of them are from London. You'd be shocked.
Yeah, they're a weird bunch.
Some are from Hull.
How come the best ever Premier League team has won Premier League, Sam?
You know, German chicken wing, I realized from your name, I should have known from your first super chat the type of person you are. This is what Terry calls weak dead banter that my 10-year-old cousin, who is a casual when it comes to football, could come and tell me. There's nothing. Have you ever heard me say Liverpool are the greatest ever Premier League team? No. So, like, you need to just get a grip, I'm going to be honest with you.
There we go. This here says that Terry now realize after years and years keep talking about City's huge money spent. Now Terry realizes 5 seasons United have spent 1.7 billion since Fergie left. Again, though, my friend, you've never heard me say, "Oh my God, look how much City spent. It's so much more than us, they're bastards." I've never ever once moaned about City spending. It's never come out of my mouth. I've actually condemned my club and my owners and managers have wasted 1.7 billion on players that we've spent more than City and we're nowhere near them. So again, you're just making things up that I have never said. Maybe that makes you feel, maybe that makes you feel, maybe instead of going, oh, Terry, you've been bang on about this, you have to just lie about what I haven't said. It's crazy. Terry and Don, managers are there to do jobs, gents.
Yes, they are. But they also need to do jobs based on what they're given, based on what happens. And this is the thing, Chike, that I've been talking about Chelsea for the last 2 weeks. I am giving a bunch of youngsters and a former Spurs managers who develops players to the most impatient fan base in the league. I don't get what's so hard to understand. They've already turned on Poch. You could see it in the chat. BA, who sent in Superchats earlier, big up to him. He's turned on Poch already. CFC Roy, who we know comes on the terrace, doesn't even have financial gain. He also turned on Poch already. So this is the thing. Like, people are turning on said manager within 4 games.
Yeah. And Chike, managers have a job to do, but not every job is the same. Again, there's been a narrative that's been created, and I do believe it's been by a handful of content creators on socials, that managing football teams is the same everywhere you go. Listen, managing a Luton is a different kettle of fish than managing Man City. There is elements of managing City that's harder, and there's elements of managing Luton that's more difficult. They are not the same. So therefore, the judgment of those managers over the same exact periods of time, you have to look at the context and the situation of which they've walked into. That's normal in every other walk of life. It should apply to football. Maguire on loan to Liverpool in January. Yeah, that'd be a good move.
I would rather Terry come on loan to Liverpool.
I'd score an own goal every game for you lot. I would, and then just take my money and run off into the sunset. Terry never made the money excuse like Husam. I credit him that.
What money excuse?
About City spending money and it ain't theirs type thing.
No, but it's the reality. Santi, I just want you to, I don't know where you live, I just want you to go outside, walk in the street. Look at your neighbor's mailbox. Does it print money? Ask yourself. If it doesn't print money, then City have cheated.
Terry, do you actually think managers care about their clubs or just money? I think they care about winning. I think they care about the club. I think very few care about the clubs like the fans do. I think when they're there, I think if they're there a long time, they can. But I'll give you an example. Rio Ferdinand grew up I believe he was a West Ham fan as a kid. He grew up in Southeast London, was a West Ham fan, played for West Ham, went to Leeds, then he joined Man United. Because of what he did at Man United, how long he was there, when he says when he speaks about football, now he speaks about Man United. That's his club. So I would actually say professional footballers are the only group of people that I would accept changing the team they supported as a kid, because it's a different kettle of fish working and falling in. Like Jamie Carragher was an Everton fan as a kid, I believe. He definitely supports Liverpool now, but that's because of how long he was there. It's different, right? So I think some people do care. I think Klopp cares and loves Liverpool. Do I think he cares about it as much as Liverpool fans? No. However, I think if he spends another 10 to 15 years there, I think that also may grow. But at the same time, it's also a job and a profession. So I don't think they'll ever love a club like a fan does, unless they're already a fan of that club. So I think David Beckham and Gary Neville care about Man United deeply. Although you may find that their love has slightly waned as they've got older because they own their own football clubs. And that maybe takes a lot of their passion away. So it's a difficult one. But yeah, I do think they care. But of course, money's a motivator as well. But I don't think it's polarized. I don't think they're just sitting there laughing every day at bad results because they're getting paid loads of money. So I don't necessarily think it's like that. I don't think, again, it's another one of those things which is a little bit open-ended. Depends on the manager, the team, the club, the amount of time they've been there. Yeah, there's no easy answer. Rio supported Liverpool growing up today. Well, there we go. Even better, an example of that's true.
It's crazy how all the good players supported Liverpool. Kevin De Bruyne.
Well, yeah, but do you know Steven Gerrard when he was a kid? He used to run around screaming Brian Robson's name. That was his favorite player. He used to wear Brian Robson shirts. He said it himself. I heard him say it. He did. I heard Gerrard say it.
That's AI. That's a fake.
He said it before AI was even a thing, bruv. Chelsea supporter in the US here. How you doing, Oliver? He says, I'll give any coach however much time they need if we win silverware. Makes me feel like the only patient Chelsea fan.
He's even admitting it himself by calling himself the only patient Chelsea fan. And the reality is, here's the thing, my guy Oliver, when it comes to winning a trophy this season, I don't even think necessarily that's what your ownership want. I think you give them 5th place right now, they take it back to the UCL. I think that's probably primary goal.
Yeah.
My brother, you beat Wimbledon on a penalty. You want me to trust you to win a whole cup? Come on, man.
Terry from London, maybe 37, says he began supporting Man United in 1989. Yeah, I was 4, nearly 5 years old. I remember it. Remember being bought the Man United kit. I was 4, nearly 5 years old. My son now, if he ain't here to ask, if I sat him on my lap now and said, what football team do you support? He'd say Manchester United. If I showed him about 7 or 8 football badges and said, which one's our badge? He'd point to it. And I don't know what he'll remember by the time he's my age, but he may remember some elements around football. He's definitely seen me go a little bit mental with certain goals I've gone on and things like that. So my son's 3, and he might remember some bits and pieces. I certainly remember in and around being 4 to 5 supporting them, and that was in 1989. So yeah, absolutely 110%. Maybe you don't have a memory that goes back that far, but I remember my first day of infant school in the UK, which you're 4 years old, turning 5, and I remember lots about that, and that was when I was 4. So I'm sure you guys all remember things when you were 4 or 5 years old. Not loads of things, but you remember little things. So there we go. It sounds like child abuse, Terry. Yeah, we weren't very good at the time, but I think that's what I think. If Man United were really good, my dad would have encouraged me not to support them, but they really weren't that great. So I think it was like, yeah, you're not a threat to my Tottenham. And then look how it went. So there we go. Why did you choose Man United if your dad supported Spurs? I must have been asked this question a million times, and I respect it. My dad's a very liberal person in every sense of the word, and he didn't believe, he never had any of us christened as children because he believed as adults we could pick our own religion. So he didn't want to force us down any particular road. Football teams, he didn't believe that he could force us into that. Careers, jobs, the only thing he ever really forced into us was work ethic. So if you left school and wanted to work straight away and not go to college and university, my dad supported it. My dad was just about behaving in the right way and working hard. So me and my brothers could date any kind of girl we wanted. If any of my brothers, and none of them have ever come out, but if any of my brothers were gay, it just would not have been an issue in my house. Our behavior and work ethic were the only things he really pushed on us. So we were able to pick our own football teams. None of us are religious, by the way. But listen, one of my brothers could be Jewish. I could be Muslim. One brother Christian, never got Buddhist. My dad wouldn't give a damn. That's just how he is. I'm like that with my kids, barring the football team. Again, that's the only thing I'm regimented on. The rest of it, it doesn't matter to me. That's it. No way Terry supported Man United at 2 years old. I didn't say 2 years old, though, did I? It's such a weird thing to say. I told you how old I was.
He just said 4.
Yeah, very, very weird. Very, very weird indeed. Listen, people, I want to thank you all very much for tuning in to the show today. Please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the Football Terrace as well. It's very, very important to us that you do that. We'll be back tomorrow, obviously, with match reactions to Liverpool, City, United, and over the weekend for Chelsea and Arsenal as well. Tottenham, of course, included in that as well. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon.